1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. Stone by day, warriors by night. We were betrayed by the humans we had sworn to protect, frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. Now here in Manhattan, the spell is broken, and we live again. We are defenders of the night. We are gargoyles.
1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. We know these words. They opened every episode, promising us the tale of noble protectors, betrayed and cursed, only to awaken in modern Manhattan. But that narration conceals a deeper truth. What if I told you that the awakening of Goliath's clan was not the beginning of a new story, but merely one chapter in an ancient, secret war that has spanned the globe for millennia? We know the tale of their stone sleep, but today, we uncover the histories that never slept, of phantom islands where magic still flows freely, of global conspiracies run by their oldest foes, and of entire civilizations of mythic beings who watch humanity from the shadows, waiting for the moment to reveal themselves. The Manhattan Clan story, their castle, their betrayal, their resurrection, is merely the prologue to something far grander. For while Goliath slept in stone for 1,000 years, the world continued to turn. Other clans survived. Ancient societies plotted. Magic evolved. And when Goliath finally awakened on that tower in 1994, he discovered not that his race was dead, but that he knew almost nothing about the world his species had shaped. Today, we piece together the complete canon tapestry of the Gargoyles universe. We will walk the Avalon World Tour, not as a series of random adventures, but as a deliberate revelation of a planet still teeming with magic and myth. We will unmask the Illuminati, the secret society that has guided human history for centuries and counts David Xanatos as merely a junior member. And we will stand at the gates of New Olympus, a hidden city of beings from classical legend who represent both a warning and a promise of what the future holds. This is not speculation. This is not fan theory. Every element we discuss is drawn from the 65 episodes of the original series, the canonical SLG comic books written by creator Greg Weisman, and the detailed lore he has shared in interviews over 3 decades. What you're about to discover is the true scope of the Gargoyle saga, the epic that most viewers never fully comprehended. The stone sleeps, but the world never stopped moving. Let us begin the chronicle. The Avalon World Tour begins in Season 2's Avalon 3-parter, but its true purpose is often misunderstood. After helping to defend the mystical island of Avalon from the Archmage's assault, Goliath, Elisa Maza, Bronx, and Goliath's biological daughter Angela are granted passage off the island by its guardian, Princess Catherine, Tom the Guardian, and the Magus. But here's where the magic becomes crucial. Avalon's transportation spell doesn't take you where you want to go. It sends you where you need to be. This isn't random. This is the island, which exists partially outside normal space and time, guiding Goliath through an education about his own species. The tour's first stop brings them back to Scotland, to Castle Wyvern's original location and to Loch Ness. Here, they encounter Dr. Anton Severius, Xanatos' geneticist, who has been studying the Loch Ness Monster, or more accurately, a family of Loch Ness monsters. The lore implications here are staggering. These creatures, which Severius refers to as Nessie, share remarkable physiological similarities with gargoyles. They're not gargoyles, but they're clearly related species, what Severius calls gargate beasts, or gargoyle-like creatures that evolve separately but from similar genetic stock. This reveals something fundamental about the gargoyles universe. Goliath's species is not unique. Gargoyle-like beings exist worldwide, taking different forms, adapted to different environments. The Loch Ness creatures are aquatic cousins. Later episodes will show us other variants. The Japanese gargoyles with different cultural traditions, the Guatemalan gargoyles with feathered wings resembling the Mayan serpent god Quetzalcoatl. More disturbing is Severius's interest. He's attempting to harvest DNA to create hybrid creatures to weaponize these ancient species. This introduces a horrifying reality. In the modern world, gargoyles aren't just threatened by superstitious mobs with torches. They're threatened by scientists with gene sequencers, by corporations that see them as intellectual property, as living patents waiting to be exploited. The Loch Ness episode teaches Goliath that his species exists within a broader ecosystem of magical creatures, and that their DNA itself has become valuable in ways the medieval gargoyle couldn't have imagined. The London episode, MIA, is where the World Tour truly begins to challenge Goliath's understanding of gargoyle culture itself. In London, they discover an entire clan living openly in a magical shop that exists partially outside normal space, protected by a mysterious shopkeeper who may or may not be one of Oberon's children. But it's not the magic that's important here, it's the culture. The London clan has names, real names. They call themselves Griff, Leo, Una, and others. They haven't adopted the medieval tradition of taking names from locations or descriptive characteristics like Brooklyn or Lexington. They've maintained individual identity across generations. More importantly, they've lived in relative harmony with humans for centuries. They fought alongside British forces in World War II. Griff was lost in 1940 defending London from Nazi bombers, only to be rescued by Goliath through time travel shenanigans involving Avalon's magical properties. But the key point is this: the London clan wasn't hunted to extinction. They found a way to coexist with humanity, to be seen as protectors rather than monsters. This completely recontextualizes the tragedy of the Wyvern clan. Goliath's clan was destroyed not because all humans hate gargoyles, but because of specific circumstances: betrayal, medieval Scottish politics, the particular prejudices of Captain of the Guard. The London clan proves that peaceful coexistence was always possible. Goliath's clan simply had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The London clan also reveals something about gargoyle diversity. They're not identical to the Manhattan clan in appearance or culture. Evolution and environment have shaped them differently. The gargoyle species is not monolithic. It has developed distinct cultural traditions, different philosophies, varied relationships with humanity depending on geography and history. Golem is one of the most philosophically rich episodes of the entire series. In Prague, the group encounters not a gargoyle clan, but something else entirely: a golem, a creature of Jewish mystical tradition created by Rabbi Loew in the 16th century to protect Prague's Jewish community from persecution. The golem, voiced with heartbreaking simplicity, has continued its mission for 400 years. It still protects the descendants of those it was created to guard, even though modern Prague is a very different place than the medieval ghetto where it was born. This episode establishes crucial lore about the Gargoyles universe. Magic is real, historical, and not exclusive to any one tradition. The Gargoyles' stone sleep curse, Demona's immortality, the magic of Avalon. These aren't unique phenomena. They're part of a broader magical reality that exists alongside science. Different cultures access this magic in different ways. The Celts have Avalon and the Fae. Jewish mysticism has the Golem. Each tradition is valid, each is powerful, and each reveals different facets of how magic operates. But more importantly, the Golem episode explores the nature of what it means to be a protector. The Golem asks Goliath if gargoyles have souls, a question Goliath himself has pondered in darker moments. The Golem is not alive in the biological sense. It's animated earth, given purpose by sacred texts, and yet it feels. It questions. It mourns the loss of its creator and the passage of time. Goliath's response is powerful. The important question is not whether we have souls, but whether we choose to act with conscience. Protection, duty, honor, these aren't contingent on biological life or divine creation. They're choices. The golem chooses to protect. Gargoyles choose to protect. That choice is what makes them noble, not their species or origin. This reframes the entire premise of the show. Gargoyles aren't important because they're the last of a dying race. They're important because they choose, despite centuries of human betrayal, to continue protecting humanity. That choice, that stubborn, perhaps irrational nobility is what defines them. The two-part episode Bushido takes place in Ishimura, Japan, and it might be the single most important stop on the world tour for understanding gargoyle society. Here, Goliath discovers a clan that has lived in perfect harmony with their human village for centuries. There was no betrayal, no massacre, no stone sleep curse. The gargoyles and humans of Ishimura have developed a truly symbiotic relationship based on mutual respect and shared Bushido philosophy, the way of the warrior, but the harmony comes with a cost. The Ishimura gargoyles have adopted an extreme isolationist philosophy. They believe their survival depends on staying hidden from the modern world, on maintaining the old ways without change. They view Goliath's clan, who fought Xanatos publicly, who appeared on television, who made themselves known to New York, as reckless fools who will bring destruction upon all gargoyles. This creates a fascinating philosophical conflict. Which approach is correct? Should gargoyles hide, preserving themselves through secrecy? Or should they engage with the modern world, accepting the risks in exchange for the possibility of broader acceptance? The episode doesn't provide easy answers. It does, however, reveal something crucial. Gargoyle culture is not uniform. The Manhattan clan's aggressive, sometimes confrontational relationship with humanity is just one approach. The Ishimura clan's peaceful isolationism is another. The London clan's open cooperation with select humans represents a third path. There is no single correct way to be a gargoyle in the modern world. Each clan must find its own path, balancing the need for security with the desire for connection, weighing tradition against adaptation. The Ishimura episode also introduces Kai and Yama, two gargoyles whose names indicate a break from tradition even within their conformist society. Yama's eventual betrayal and redemption arc, detailed in the comics, shows that even in paradise, individuals struggle with duty, honor, and the temptation to choose self over community. By the time the Avalon World Tour concludes, Goliath has been fundamentally changed. He left Avalon believing his clan was unique, that gargoyles were nearly extinct, that magic was fading from the world. He returns to Manhattan knowing that 1. Gargoyle clans exist on every continent, from Guatemala to Japan, from Britain to Australia. 2. Related species, gargate beasts, aquatic variants, feathered cousins, populate the world. 3. Magic is not dying. It's hidden, but vast networks of mystical power still operate. 4. Other beings, golems, fae, creatures of myth, share the world with gargoyles. 5. The relationship between gargoyles and humans is not universally hostile. Some clans have found peace. 5. The Manhattan clan's approach, public, confrontational, engaged with modern technology, is not the only way to survive. The World Tour transforms the show from a local story about one clan in one city into a global epic about an entire species navigating modernity. It reveals that the Manhattan clan, far from being the last gargoyles, are actually the newest players in an ancient game. And most importantly, it sets up the next revelation. If gargoyle clans have survived in secret, what else has survived? What other ancient powers still operate in the shadows of the modern world? The answer, of course, is the Illuminati. David Xanatos is, for most of the series, presented as the primary antagonist. Billionaire industrialist, master strategist, man who plays chess while everyone else plays checkers. He moved Castle Wyvern stone by stone to the top of his Manhattan tower. He created the Steel Clan robots. He married Fox, a member of the Hunters family. He's the center of nearly every plot in the first 2 seasons. And then, in the episode Revelations, we discover something shocking. Xanatos is a member of the Illuminati, not a leader. A member, David Xanatos, the man who seemed to control everything, answers to someone. This revelation is delivered almost casually through Matt Bluestone's investigation. Matt, Elisa's conspiracy theorist partner in the NYPD, has been tracking the Illuminati for years. He discovers that his own stepfather, Hacker, is a member. And through this investigation, we learn that the society includes not just Xanatos, but numerous other powerful figures across the globe. The Illuminati in the Gargoyles universe is not the Dan Brown version, not a simple conspiracy of men in shadowy rooms. It is something far older, far more sophisticated, and far more dangerous. According to canon sources, specifically Greg Weisman's detailed answers in the Ask Greg archives and story elements from the comics, the Illuminati was founded in the 6th century by Sir Percival, one of the Knights of the Round Table. Let that sink in. This organization predates the Renaissance by 1,000 years. It was established not by Renaissance philosophers or Age of Enlightenment intellectuals, but by a knight of Camelot in the waning years of the Dark Ages. But why would Percival, a hero of Arthurian legend, create a secret society? The answer lies in a disturbing prophecy and a noble's crisis of faith. According to the lore, Percival came to believe that King Arthur, his king, his friend, the once and future king, destined to return in Britain's hour of greatest need, might not return as a savior. What if Arthur returned and found humanity unworthy? What if the once and future king deemed modern civilization a corruption of the noble ideals he fought for? What if Arthur's return meant not salvation, but judgment? Percival founded the Illuminati as a failsafe. If Arthur returned and proved to be a threat to humanity, if the king who slept beneath Avalon awakened as humanity's destroyer rather than its savior, the Illuminati would be ready. They would protect humanity from its own legends. This is a staggeringly complex origin for a villain organization. The Illuminati wasn't founded out of greed or lust for power. It was founded out of love for humanity, fear of divine judgment, and the conviction that humans needed to guide their own destiny. With the organization is led, as of the 1990s timeline of the show, by a man named Peredur ap Gwynedd. This name is crucial for lore hunters to understand. Peredur is the Welsh form of Percival. Ap Gwynedd means son of Gwynedd, a region in Wales. The implication is clear. Peredur is a direct descendant of the founder, possibly through a carefully maintained bloodline that has led the organization for its entire history. But here's where it gets truly interesting. Greg Weisman has hinted in interviews that Peredur might not simply be a descendant. There are suggestions, never confirmed outright, but tantalizing in their implications, that Peredur might be Percival, that the founder of the Illuminati might still lead it 15 centuries later, kept alive by the same magic that preserves Arthur in his sleep beneath Avalon. If true, this means the Illuminati is led by someone who personally knew King Arthur, who fought alongside Lancelot and Gawain, who was present at Camelot's fall. Someone with 1,500 years of experience manipulating human civilization from the shadows. Someone who has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of nations, the transformation of humanity from medieval kingdoms to global superpowers, and who has guided many of those transformations personally. This isn't a conspiracy led by mortal men playing at power. This is an immortal's masterpiece, a 15th century long project to shape human civilization itself. Beyond Xanatos, we know frustratingly little about the full membership, but what we do know is telling. Matt Bluestone's stepfather, Hacker, is a member, and he's just a mid-level figure. The society recruits from every level of power. Businessmen like Xanatos, political figures implied but never named, scientists, military leaders, media moguls. They don't control everything, but they have connections to everything. The Illuminati's power comes not from direct control, but from information and coordination. They know things others don't. They can see patterns in global events that appear random to outsiders. When they act with perfect information and long-term planning that spans decades or centuries. Consider Xanatos' actions through this lens. His acquisition of Castle Wyvern, his resurrection of the gargoyles? Were these his own schemes or assignments from the Illuminati? Did the society know about the gargoyles' survival in stone sleep? Had they been monitoring the castle for centuries, waiting for the right moment and the right tool to awaken them? Xanatos' greatest schemes all involve acquiring or controlling magical elements. The gargoyles themselves, the Eye of Odin, the Cauldron of Life, the connection to Fox's magical heritage. For a man who presents himself as a skeptical modernist, he spends remarkable amounts of resources chasing magical artifacts. Unless he's not chasing them for himself, unless he's acquiring them for the Illuminati, building an arsenal of magical weapons and knowledge to prepare for the day when Arthur awakens, when Oberon's children become too bold, when the ancient world's magic fully returns to challenge modern humanity's dominance. The Illuminati's involvement recontextualizes nearly every major plot of the series. Let's trace some connections. Demona and Macbeth. These two are immortal, bound by a magical pact made 1,000 years ago with the Weird Sisters, who are servants of the Archmage, who is connected to Avalon, which is ruled by Oberon. The Illuminati, with its Arthurian origins, would have deep knowledge of Avalon and its denizens. Did they know about Demona and Macbeth? Have they been tracking these immortals for centuries? The Hunters. This family has hunted Demona across generations, maintaining their vendetta for 900 years. That's remarkable continuity for a human organization. Did the Illuminati support them, guide them, use them as proxies to monitor Demona's activities? Xanatos' marriage to Fox. Fox is later revealed to be the daughter of Titania, queen of the fairies, making her half fae. Did Xanatos marry her for love, or was this a calculated move to create a bloodline connection between humanity and Oberon's children? A way to create hybrid offspring, like Alexander, who could bridge both worlds. The Pack's transformations. Xanatos funded their transformation into cyborgs and genetic hybrids. Were these experiments in human enhancement, testing the limits of what humanity could become through science? Or were they combat trials, creating super soldiers who could stand against magical threats? Every thread leads back to the same conclusion. The Illuminati is playing a game that spans centuries with objectives we can only guess at. They're not simply seeking power or wealth. Those are tools, not goals. They're preparing humanity for something. A confrontation, a revelation, a war. The fundamental question about the Illuminati is one of intent. Are they protectors or oppressors? Their stated purpose, protecting humanity from forces it cannot control, sounds noble. And perhaps Percival's original vision was purely protective, but 15 centuries of secrecy breeds corruption. An organization that old, with that much power, cannot remain purely altruistic. The Illuminati seeks to guide human development, to ensure humanity remains a dominant force on Earth, but that means controlling information about magic, about other species, about the true nature of reality. It means keeping humanity ignorant of gargoyles, of fae, of the magical world that exists alongside the mundane. In doing so, they've made themselves the arbiters of what humanity deserves to know. They've placed themselves above democratic will, above individual choice, above the very humans they claim to protect. They are, in essence, benevolent dictators operating in absolute secrecy. The gargoyles represent a massive threat to their plans. Gargoyles cannot be controlled by money or threats. They're biologically immortal. Older ones have memories spanning centuries, making them resistant to historical revisionism. They have their own code of honor independent of human law. And most dangerously, they're going public. The Manhattan Clan has been seen on television, photographed, become part of the cultural conversation. The Illuminati's careful separation of magical world and mundane humanity is collapsing because of Goliath's clan. Every night they glide through Manhattan skies. They make the extraordinary visible. They force humans to confront the reality of other intelligent species. They prove that the myths are real. From the Illuminati's perspective, this is catastrophic. Their entire system depends on controlled revelation, on humanity being gently guided toward accepting magical reality on the society's terms and timeline. The gargoyles are forcing uncontrolled revelation, creating chaos, making humanity question everything. The question that haunts a series' unresolved plotlines is this: will the Illuminati eventually decide that gargoyles must be eliminated entirely, not out of hatred, but out of calculated necessity? Will humanity's self-appointed guardians become the gargoyles' most dangerous enemies? The lore suggests this conflict was being set up as a major arc in the unproduced seasons. The Illuminati versus the gargoyles, ancient human conspiracy versus ancient non-human protectors, both claiming to serve humanity's best interests, both willing to make hard choices, both convinced of their own righteousness. It would have been the perfect synthesis of the show's themes: the complexity of heroism, the danger of certainty, and the tragic possibility that the heroes and villains might not be as different as they believe. In the two-part episode, The New Olympians, the Avalon World Tour takes its most science-fictional turn. Goliath and company discover a hidden, technologically advanced city floating in the Mediterranean Sea, home to beings they initially mistake for gods, the New Olympians. These are not gods. They are the children of gods, or more accurately, they are members of various mythological species who were worshipped as gods in ancient times. Minotaurs, centaurs, medusas, sphinx-like beings, creatures from Greek, Egyptian, and other Mediterranean mythologies. They are flesh and blood, mortal, or at least not immortal in the divine sense, and they possess technology that puts human civilization to shame. The city of New Olympus is a marvel of retro-futuristic design, mixing classical Greek architecture with advanced technology. Flying vehicles navigate between marble columns. Holographic displays emerge from ancient-looking statuary. It's a civilization that never abandoned its roots while still embracing progress. Everything humanity might have been if myths and modernity had merged rather than diverged. But the most important aspect of New Olympus isn't its technology, it's why it exists at all. The New Olympians explain their history to Goliath, and it's a history that mirrors the gargoyles' own trauma. Centuries ago, as humanity developed more sophisticated weapons and more aggressive expansion, the beings who had once been worshipped as gods found themselves hunted, feared, driven to the margins of civilization. They could have fought back. Many of them possessed powers that individual humans couldn't match, but they were outnumbered, and humanity's capacity for coordinated violence and technological warfare was growing exponentially. War would have meant mutual destruction, so they chose concealment. They gathered their people from around the Mediterranean. Every minotaur, every centaur, every mythological being who wished to survive, and used their most powerful magic and technology to create New Olympus. A city hidden from human detection, isolated from human civilization, preserved in timeless secrecy. For centuries, it worked. While humanity forgot the old gods and relegated them to mythology, New Olympus thrived in isolation. They built their own civilization, developed their own technology, created their own culture independent of human influence. But isolation came with costs. They abandoned the surface world entirely. They severed all connections to humanity except for covert monitoring. They built their entire society around the principle of secrecy, around the fear of discovery, around the certainty that revelation would mean destruction. Sound familiar? This is the Ishimura clan's philosophy taken to its logical extreme. Hide perfectly and you'll survive. But survival purchased through total isolation is a prison, not a victory. The parallels between New Olympians and gargoyles are deliberately constructed by the show's writers. Both are non-human intelligent species. Both were once integrated with human civilization. Both were betrayed, hunted, nearly exterminated. Both survived through concealment and adaptation, but the New Olympians represent a possible future that terrifies Goliath. They are what gargoyles might become if they embrace isolationism completely. A hidden remnant, technologically advanced but culturally stagnant, defining themselves entirely by their separation from humanity rather than by any positive vision of their own identity. The episode The New Olympians features a character named Taurus, a minotaur who served as the city's police chief. Taurus is deeply prejudiced against humans, viewing them as violent, primitive, untrustworthy. When Elisa Maza, a human, is brought to New Olympus, Taurus treats her with barely concealed contempt, assuming she'll behave treacherously because that's what humans do. This prejudice is revealing. The New Olympians, despite their technological superiority and their claims to enlightenment, have become just as bigoted as the humans who drove them into hiding. Isolation hasn't made them wise. It's made them fearful, suspicious, convinced of their own superiority and humanity's wickedness. Goliath sees this clearly. In one powerful scene, he confronts the New Olympians with a truth they don't want to hear. You've become what you feared. You've let hatred define you. The Gargoyles were betrayed by humans, just as the New Olympians were. But Goliath chose forgiveness, chose to continue protecting humanity despite that betrayal. The New Olympians chose resentment and withdrawal. Within New Olympus, there's a fierce debate about the future. A faction led by Boreas, a being with control over wind and weather, argues that the time has come to reveal New Olympus to the world. Humanity has matured, has developed international law and human rights, has supposedly moved beyond superstition and mob violence. Perhaps modern humanity would accept the New Olympians, would welcome the revelation of a hidden civilization. The opposing faction, represented by Taurus and others, argues that humanity hasn't changed at all. Beneath the veneer of civilization, humans remain fearful, tribal, violent. Revelation would lead to war, to attempted conquest of New Olympus, to the destruction they've spent centuries. But there's a darker element to the New Olympian philosophy. Many of them believe that humanity is on a path to self-destruction. Climate change, nuclear weapons, overpopulation, resource depletion, the New Olympians, monitoring human civilization from their hidden city. See all the warning signs. Some New Olympians believe they should simply wait. Let humanity destroy itself and then emerge to reclaim the surface world. Why risk revelation and potential conflict when patience will give them the world by default? Others, more compassionate, argue that they have a responsibility to prevent human self-destruction, even if humans don't know they're being helped. This faction would have New Olympus covertly guide human development, preventing the worst disasters, nudging civilization towards sustainability. Notice the similarity to the Illuminati's philosophy? Both organizations claim to guide humanity for its own good. Both operate in secrecy. Both assume they know better than humanity itself what humans need. The difference is that the Illuminati is composed of humans, while the New Olympians are explicitly non-human. The Illuminati claims to protect humanity from external threats. The New Olympians claim to protect humanity from itself. But both ultimately arrive at the same authoritarian position. They will decide in secret what is best for the human race. This creates a fascinating potential conflict that the series never had time to explore. What happens when the Illuminati discovers New Olympus? Two secret societies, both manipulating human civilization, both convinced of their own righteousness, both commanding significant power. Do they become allies or enemies? Greg Weisman has discussed in interviews that future story arcs would have eventually featured New Olympus revealing itself to the world. This Revelation Day would have been a pivotal moment in the Gargoyles timeline, fundamentally altering the relationship between human and non-human civilizations on Earth. Imagine the implications. Overnight, humanity would learn that 1. An entire advanced civilization has been hidden for centuries. 2. Mythological beings are real and living in secret. 3. Technology exists far beyond current human capabilities. 4. The myths and legends were not fantasies but historical accounts. The geopolitical chaos would be immense. Every nation would demand access to new Olympian technology. Religious institutions would face crises of faith. Conspiracy theorists would be vindicated. And the general population would be forced to confront the fact that humans are not alone, not dominant, not the pinnacle of Earth's civilization. For the Gargoyles, Revelation Day would be both opportunity and threat. On one hand, the existence of another non-human intelligent species would normalize their own presence. Humans might be more accepting of gargoyles if they're simultaneously learning about minotaurs and centaurs. On the other hand, a worldwide panic about non-humans among us could trigger violence against all non-human species, gargoyles included. The New Olympians, with their superior technology and unified civilization, would likely weather the storm better than the scattered, vulnerable gargoyle clans. But the long-term consequences remain uncertain. Would New Olympus become humanity's partner, its rival, or its would-be conqueror? These are the questions that haunt the unfinished saga of Gargoyles. The New Olympians represent not just a single episode's adventure, but a critical piece of the show's endgame, a vision of how the magical and mundane worlds might finally, catastrophically, collide. We have walked the globe with Goliath, from the misty highlands of Scotland to the hidden villages of Japan, from the mystical shores of Avalon to the depths of the Mediterranean. We have peered into the secret boardrooms of the Illuminati, where conspirators 15 centuries old guide human civilization from the shadows. We have stood at the gates of New Olympus, a city of myth and technology that represents both humanity's future and its past. The story of Gargoyles is not just about a clan in Manhattan, not just about stone sleep and modern awakening. It is a story of an entire world, a world where magic never truly died, where ancient beings still walk in secret, where history is longer and stranger than anyone realizes. It is a story of gargoyle clans scattered across every continent, each with their own culture, their own relationship with humanity, their own approach to survival in a hostile world. From the peaceful isolationism of Ishimura to the open cooperation of London, from the hidden jungles of Guatemala to the mystical protections of Avalon, gargoyles are not a dying race but a hidden network spanning the globe. It is a story of the Illuminati, an organization born from noble purpose but evolved into something far more ambiguous. Humanity's self-appointed guardians, playing chess with civilizations, preparing for a day when the once and future king might return and judge modern humanity unworthy of its legends. It is a story of New Olympus, a civilization of mythological beings who chose survival through concealment, who built a paradise in isolation but risked becoming prisoners of their own fear, who stand at the threshold of a revelation that could change the world forever. And most profoundly, it is a story of choice, the choice to protect despite betrayal, the choice to trust despite fear, the choice to engage with the world rather than withdraw from it. Every faction we've explored, the Gargoyle clans, the Illuminati, the New Olympians, faces the same fundamental question. How do you survive in a world that fears you? Do you hide? Do you manipulate? Do you fight? Or do you have the courage to simply exist openly, to trust that truth and honor will eventually overcome prejudice? Goliath's answer to that question defines him as a hero. He chooses visibility over secrecy, engagement over isolation, forgiveness over vengeance. He refuses to let his clan become like the New Olympians, hidden and resentful, or to serve masters like the Illuminati who would use him as a tool. He chooses, stubbornly and perhaps naively, to believe that humans and gargoyles can coexist openly, that truth is better than comfortable lies, that honor matters even when it's difficult. That choice reverberates through the entire series. It's why Elisa Maza, a human, becomes his closest ally and eventual love. It's why the Manhattan Clan becomes a symbol of hope for other gargoyle clans worldwide. It's why they survive when logic suggests they should have been destroyed dozens of times over. Their visibility makes them vulnerable, but it also makes them real. Impossible to dismiss as myth, impossible to ignore as irrelevant. The lore of this world is an iceberg, and we have only surveyed its peak. We haven't discussed the Children of Oberon and their complex relationship with both humanity and gargoyles. We haven't explored the time-traveling adventures involving King Arthur and his destined return. We haven't examined the Quarrymen, humanity's violent, organized response to the gargoyles' public existence, or their leader, Castaway's descent from righteous fear into genocidal fanaticism. We haven't delved into the origins of the gargoyle species itself, Are they natural evolution, magical creation, or something stranger? We haven't examined the full scope of Demona's 1,000-year campaign against humanity, her alliances with Xanatos and the Weird Sisters, her ultimate plan to exterminate the entire human race, and what it reveals about the corrosive nature of eternal hatred. We haven't analyzed the prophecies and time loops that define the series' complex temporal mechanics, where time travel doesn't change the past but fulfills it, where Goliath's actions in the past create the very circumstances that sent him there in the first place. We haven't discussed the tragedy of the clones, the twisted, failed copies of the Manhattan Clan created by Severius, who raise profound questions about identity, genetic rights, and what it means to be real. Are the clones, artificial as their creation was, any less deserving of life and dignity than the originals? Tylog, the clone of Goliath, becomes one of the series' most complex villains precisely because he forces us to confront this question. The chronicles of this world are far from complete. The 65 episodes of the original series and the handful of canonical comics that followed barely scratch the surface of the mythology Greg Weisman built. Interviews and behind-the-scenes discussions reveal layers upon layers of planned storylines, character arcs, revelations that would have transformed our understanding of everything that came before. But that incompleteness is, in a way, the point. Gargoyles was a series that trusted its audience to think, to question, to engage with complexity rather than demand simplicity. It presented a world where heroes and villains weren't clearly delineated, where good people made terrible choices and terrible people occasionally showed nobility, where entire civilizations could be both right and wrong simultaneously. The Avalon World Tour taught us that the world is vast, ancient, and full of mysteries. The Illuminati revealed that history is shaped by forces most people never see, that conspiracy and causality are sometimes the same thing, that the powerful operate on timescales ordinary individuals cannot comprehend. New Olympus warned us that survival through hiding is a Pyrrhic victory, that isolation breeds fear as surely as exposure breeds danger. These are not simple lessons for a Saturday morning cartoon. These are themes that reward adult analysis, that reveal new depths with each viewing, that connect to genuine philosophical questions about identity, community, justice, and the price of survival in a hostile world. The lore of this world is an iceberg, and we have only just surveyed its peak. From the ancient history of the Fae to the true nature of the children of Oberon, from the origins of the gargoyle species to the temporal mechanics of castle wyverns, time-traveling journey to 1994, there are countless stories left. But I want to know from you, which of these lost sagas holds the key to the entire series? Is it the secret war of the Illuminati, their 15th century conspiracy to guide humanity, their inevitable confrontation with the gargoyles, the question of whether Peredur ap Gwynedd is truly an immortal Percival waiting for Arthur's return? Is it the future of the new Olympians, their eventual revelation to the world, the chaos that will follow, the question of whether mythological beings and modern humans can coexist, the possible alliance or conflict with the Illuminati? Is it the fate of the other gargoyle clans, the Ishimura clan's isolationism eventually failing, the Guatemalan clan's unique culture and feathered wings, the possibility of a global gargoyle council that could unite all clans into a true international presence? Or is it something darker? The Quarrymen's rise as an organized hate group, humanity's capacity for genocidal violence when faced with the other, the question of whether Goliath's trust in humanity is heroic or suicidal, the possibility that Demona might in some terrible way be proven right about human nature? Write your detailed theories in the comments below. Tell me which thread of lore you believe deserves the deepest dive. Tell me what questions keep you awake at night when you think about this series. The discussion, the debate, the collective analysis, that's how we keep this world alive, how we continue the chronicle that the creators began but circumstances prevented them from finishing. This is not nostalgia. This is not simple fandom for a canceled show. This is archaeology. This is the work of keeping complex, sophisticated storytelling alive in cultural memory. of proving that animation can be as rich and layered as any prestige drama, that stories told for children can contain truths that resonate for decades. The chronicles of this world are far from complete. We've talked about the secret societies and hidden cities, about global conspiracies and isolated utopias, but we haven't discussed humanity's most public, most brutal, most immediate response to the Gargoyles' return. We haven't examined the Quarrymen. This organization, founded by John Canmore after he abandoned his family's identity as the Hunters, represents something more terrifying than ancient conspiracies or hidden cities. The Illuminati operates with cold calculation. The new Olympians act from fear and isolation. But the Quarrymen, they act from rage, from fear given voice and organization, from the human capacity to demonize the other and justify any atrocity in the name of safety. They wear hoods to hide their faces. They carry weapons designed specifically to destroy gargoyles. They use media manipulation, political pressure, and street-level violence to turn public opinion against non-humans. They are, in every meaningful sense, a hate group, the KKK with gargoyles as their target instead of racial minorities. And they're terrifyingly effective, because unlike Xanatos' schemes or Demona's plots, the Quarrymen tap into something primal, the fear of the different, the need for scapegoats, the comfort of simple answers to complex problems. Gargoyles are dangerous. Gargoyles are monsters. Remove the gargoyles and we'll all be safe. The Quarrymen represent the question the series had been building toward from the beginning. What happens when prejudice becomes organized? When fear becomes policy? When good people, frightened people, people who genuinely believe they're protecting their families, commit atrocities against the innocent? John Canmore's transformation into John Castaway, his descent from hunter of specific enemies to leader of a movement seeking genocide, is one of the darkest arcs in the series. It's the story of how noble intentions, protecting humanity, can curdle into something monstrous when mixed with trauma, loss, and the refusal to see one's enemies as people. To ensure you don't miss our deep dive into the Quarrymen's terrifying origins, their extremist ideology, and the disturbing parallels to real-world hate movements, subscribe and activate the notification bell. The stone sleeps, but history is always watching. And the next chapter of this chronicle reveals how easily heroism can be mistaken for villainy when fear does the looking. We'll examine how the Quarrymen recruited ordinary citizens, how they used media to craft narratives of gargoyle violence, how they exploited real incidents to build support for their cause. We'll analyze John Castaway's psychology, the trauma of losing his siblings in the hunt, the way grief can be weaponized into ideology. And we'll discuss the most disturbing question of all. In a world where gargoyles are real, where creatures with superhuman strength glide through city streets at night, where the potential for violence is genuine, are the Quarrymen entirely wrong? Does legitimate concern about safety excuse organized hatred? Where is the line between reasonable caution and genocidal intent? These are questions the series forced viewers to confront. Questions without easy answers. Questions that make Gargoyles one of the most sophisticated examinations of prejudice, fear, and the other ever produced in animation. The next chronicle awaits. The Quarrymen are hammering at the gates, and the question of whether Goliath's faith in humanity can survive organized hatred hangs in the balance. Until then, keep the stone vigil, keep asking questions, keep refusing simple answers. The night belongs to the gargoyles, but the shadows belong to those who would destroy them. And understanding both is essential to understanding the complete saga.